welcome back to another episode of Andy's Appetizers, where today I'll be teaching you a very simple and delicious dish that's been one of my family's favorites for generations. Tator Tot Casserole, a classic Midwestern dish that's good for any occasion. But without further ado, let's check out the ingredients we're using. Before starting, preheat your oven to the temperature labeled on your tater tot bag. Okay, first we need to brown the meat. Cut the tube and start spreading the beef out before turning on the stovetop. As the meat starts to cook, add salt and minced onions to the meat for added flavor. I use pre-minced onion, but feel free to use a fresh one if you have that. You can add more seasonings, but as you can tell from my complexion, I have no idea what those would be, so salt and onion it is. Then continue to stir and flip the meat until it's a nice beautiful brown. Reduce the heat and drain out the fat, which thankfully there's not much of, and it's time to add more ingredients to the casserole base. First off, the cream of celery. Traditionally, the dish uses cream of mushroom, but my family doesn't really like mushrooms, and we found celery works just as well, if not better. Beat up the blob a bit before adding the milk. My very scientific way of measuring how much milk to use is for 1 pound of meat, fill half the soup can with milk and pour it into the pan. But if you're using 2 pounds, then fill the can all the way. Once you're done stirring the mixture together, you should have a meaty, lumpy soup. Normally, people like my mom would put the mixture right into the casserole pan at this point, but I do something a little different. I prefer adding the green beans right now while the meat is still in the pan and mixing it all together instead of as its own layer of the casserole. I think it helps blend the flavors of the casserole together and also gives an equally distributed amount of green beans throughout the dish. Speaking of which, now that our meaty soup concoction is finished, we can pour it right into the casserole dish. Be sure to spread it out nice and even as well. At this point you can add more layers of vegetables like peas, corn, or I've even seen peppers at once, but I'll stick to just the beans. But now it's time for the most important part, the namesake of the dish, the tater tots. Unfortunately, due to my own hubris and idiocy, I didn't have nearly as many tater tots available as I expected. Using a second, mostly used bag gave me just barely enough, but I still would have liked a few more. And last but not least, the most important ingredient according to my dad, cheese. Sprinkle it all over the tots until they're completely covered.
It needs more cheese.
It needs more cheese.
Okay, that's good. Pop the dish into the oven for however long it tells you to cook the tater tots until they're thoroughly done, and find something to distract you while you wait. Doing dishes, scrolling, or by checking out some of those sponsorships YouTubers are always raving about, like Rage Shallow Felons, a game I'm certain no one actually plays unless they're paid to do so. But make sure you get it using Norm Vespaquin to protect your password for the website building website MySpace, which of course you can learn to use by using Ability Swap, all while drinking some Nerd Sweat and wearing Rayman earpieces. Anyways, once the timer goes off, take the delectable dish out and let it cool before enjoying this hearty, meaty, and honestly quite comforting meal. Which I did not wait for it to cool down enough. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy your dinner!